What's the difference of red light and green light?
That's a very important and timely question. Red light does penetrate the skin a little bit deeper. That red light means on the edge of infrared that heats up the body, and it's a completely different biological system.
Welcome back to the Primal Reset Podcast. Today, we're joined by Dr. Russell Jaffe, physician, clinical pathologist, and founder of Perque Integrative Health. Over the past 4 decades, he's authored nearly 100 scientific papers, developed pioneering diagnostic tools like the ELISA ACT test, and helped shape the field of integrative and preventative medicine. Dr. Jaffe, it's a pleasure to have you. Welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So share with me a quick snippet of your history. I know it's long and extensive. It is a very, very big resume and very impressive resume. Share a little bit with
Thank
me.
you. That having been said, what I would like to communicate to your viewers, your listeners, is that I am a man of science and of wisdom, a man of spirit and of substance, and most importantly, because I think there is more to life than body and mind, there's also what I would call spirit. You might call it soul. You can call it anything you want. But in my world, in my life, having made major changes so that I would live long and well, so that I would thrive rather than just survive. So here I am in my R&D center, which is also where I happen to live. We have a permaculture biodynamic food forest. We may want to go out and visit the garden. We have many examples in the kitchen, in the bedroom, in the personal care area where you can substantially improve the quality of your life and reduce the risk of harm. And harm comes in many surprising ways, which we have organized into categories. If you spend time on each of the hundreds of toxicants today, A, you might get a little bumped, and B, you wouldn't be able to see the forest for the trees. So our work for the last number of decades has primarily been to identify the categories of harm and how to avoid 80% of the toxic harm, and then how to enhance your body's ability to get rid of the other 20%. So that keeps me off the streets and out of trouble.
And as it should as well. Starting out in your journey, how did a skeptical NIH-trained biochemist become a global advocate for nature's pharmacy?
No, thanks for asking. I think that's a critical question. So I started out in internal medicine and biochemistry and molecular biology, and then matriculated to the NIH, where I was on the permanent senior staff before I was 30. So I was a insecure overachiever, I think is the right term. And my mentors, my bosses, every one of them said, we're busy doing what we're doing to move forward the needle. Do something that's publishable, do something that's interesting, and show up. What a privilege. I had no idea at the time, but looking back, I am deeply indebted to my colleagues, to my mentors, to all of them, because what they taught me in essence is we don't know much about anything. When you get into the details of an individual person in front of you, living their life and having a life story. If you spend time in the past, you will get depressed. If you spend time in the future, you will get anxious. I am a confirmed nowist. I believe in being in the moment, enjoying being in the moment, breathing in the moment, stretching in the moment, doing all these things in the moment that keep me in the moment. And I will confide to you that when I get out of the moment, it's so uncomfortable to me now that I quickly reform myself back into being a nowist. When you have the privilege of being at the eye of a storm, when people around you are hysterical and you can still keep breathing and keep knowing what is the best thing for everyone in that environment, opportunities often emerge. I had 30 years with a Cambodian Buddhist monk named Bhante Dharmawara, who mostly lived with me, and I was his advanced man. And he taught me how to reform my life slowly I didn't learn this in 20 minutes. I do think that you can make small steps towards living well and long, towards thriving in the 21st century, which is the title of one of our books. We have 4 out because we want people to be able to listen, read, or Kindle our message because we focus on solutions. Most people, most of my colleagues, focus on the problem. And there's enough, if I had hair on the back of my head, it would stand up. So I don't focus so much on the individual toxicants. I do focus on the categories and how to dramatically reduce your toxin exposure, how to increase your nutrient quality, what you take in, eat, drink, think, and do. Now, this is understandable. I can get deeply involved with the biochemistry and molecular biology if you want, but I think more importantly is what you're asking me. How do I live well and thrive despite all the things that I know that are concerning? And the answer is because I have spent about 40 years pioneering nutrient and lifestyle solutions to contemporary ills. Someone has to do it. And now there are others. There are fortunately some really brilliant people who focus on no sweeteners and sugar. There are other people who focus on no seed oils and fats, processed fats. There are other people who focus on processed foods and deli foods. What we focus on is how to live well and long by investing 5% of your time. That means 72 minutes a day, but 5% of your time is well enough. It's more than enough to do everything I do.
And
Just to close that little segment, I measure my predictive biomarkers every 6 months. And according to my predictive biomarkers, I'm about 35 to 40. I don't know if you can see this, but I am much older than 35. And I want to live another 40 years. I believe that's available because I'm very interested in how the world is going to get through the current set of crises that are all abounding around us and come out of it better. I am a confirmed optimist. I'm also a realist. I don't think they're in competition. I'm not a Pollyanna optimist. I'm a realistic optimist because I have learned how, and I can tell you in a few minutes, how to shape each of your behaviors to improve the quality of your life.
I will definitely ask you about that. There's been the social trend of the fear mongering and the focus on crises and the problems. And rarely have we ever been told, whether it's on social media, on the news channels, from our friends and family, of solutions. And rarely do we focus on the solutions as opposed to the problems that is happening around us, happening within us at the same time. And I love the way that you think, because for me, you're going to live a happier life. There's always going to be crisis. You're
Oh,
going to
yes.
live a happier life,
Oh,
focusing on
yes.
the positive.
Oh, yes. My life is not a dream, but I live into the dream of what my life could be. So what comes my way,
And
including
you,
the challenges of high-tech living. You know, I'm a fairly high-tech guy, but I'm very concerned about where the routers are and where the Wi-Fi is and where the this and that is so that I can maximize my use of technology without technology impairing me. I'm a founding member of the Bioelectromagnetic Society, a very small group of people who are deeply involved with this question of G4, G5, G6 is coming fast, and where are your devices relative to you? Because it turns out that the distance you are, even a small distance, makes a big difference.
and touching on that point, not to get super far into it, but I love that. I do it myself. I'm well aware. It's difficult for a lot of people in the corporate world, as well as working at home and remote, sitting on their computers every single day, staring into blue light, having their phones in their laps, their computers in their laps, constantly phone by their side in their pockets, the Wi-Fi box being right next to them every single day, whatever it may be. What have you learned within utilizing technology and keeping the amount of space away from it at certain times and staying next to it at certain times?
What I was trying to do was switch to my dichromatic green light. I'm not sure quite how to flip the phone around at the moment, but the point is that blue light is a universal technology problem. They don't want to talk about it because they don't have a solution. There are screen covers that appear to block most of the blue light, but it turns out your body needs a small amount of blue light. But when you have too much blue, you have too little green. So we have pioneered and recommend an LED green bulb. You can get information at perque.com about this. And I spend about half an hour twice a day with the green light shining on me, just the green light shining on me. If you want to get a little technical, it's a little better to do this early in the morning and late in the evening so that you have less background light. As you can tell, I have a lot of glass in my house because I live outside and inside in harmony with nature. And in harmony today means more green and less blue. It also means less sitting. I recommend that for 5 minutes every hour, you get up and be about. Look around, look at a distance, hydrate, talk to someone, just do something different for 5 minutes. That undoes most of the harm that sitting imposes on you. And if you stretch during that 5 minutes, you move the fluids to the cells that need the nutrients and you help them those cells take away the toxins, the waste products. Most of us who even exercise, because not everyone exercises, but everyone should be active and exercise in something you like. Don't just do it to do it. Do it because you enjoy it. It's 5 to 10 times more valuable if you enjoy what you're doing. So, with that having been said, I feel that you can make small, incremental, smart changes that minimize the bad and maximize the good. I can wax eloquent, but I think that's the message.
What's the difference of red light and green light?
That's a very important and timely question. Red light does penetrate the skin a little bit deeper. That red light means on the edge of infrared that heats up the body, and it's a completely different biological system. Green light goes through the retina. You do have to have an eye. This is interesting. If you've had surgery and they remove your retina, this doesn't work, but that's very, very few people. So through the eye, the green light is wired directly into the pineal gland. Where is that? Deep in the brain. The pineal gland controls the pituitary, that's supposedly the master gland that tells the rest of the body about hormones. Well, isn't that interesting? Green light is a completely different biological phenomenon and an important way of getting harmony into the deep brain, the pineal gland. Red light doesn't do that at all.
So, on the topic of green light, red light, talking about nature, detoxing from electronics around you every single day, in 30 seconds, could you tell me what the most dangerous myth about detox is that you see online today?
The most dangerous myth is that magic bullet, a magic formula that is not really completely disclosed to you. It has proprietary blends of this, that, and the other thing, or what I would call schmutz. You may not know what that is. That's a Yiddish word for you don't want it. So my message is only use quality foods and supplements, only quality hydration. It turns out most of the tap water is contaminated. That's another subject. And on a consistent basis, do a little better today than yesterday. That's doable. What's not doable is, for example, I'll give some specific examples. We recommend high uptake tryptophan that converts in the brain to serotonin and melatonin where it's needed and when it's needed. A lot of melatonin is being sold today. I recommend you do not use melatonin. It's a kind of pharmacology. It floods the body with a very powerful molecule that we really are just beginning to learn what problems that creates. So I follow physiology. I follow biology. I follow what is known to be physiologic, to be natural for the body. And I find that much safer and more effective than magic formulas.
And as that could not be more true, we still see so many premium supplement brands who claim that theirs is the best. And I don't know all the research behind all of it, but
Well,
seeing,
let me jump in on good words created by the marketing department that are not reviewed by anyone of scientific integrity. This is very common. It's called a headwind. It's called confusion in the marketplace. Very often, a cheap, contaminated, semi-synthetic form is highly profitable and presented as if it's perfect, magic. I recommend that you not look at ads online. Don't look at ads online. In the same way, I recommend don't look at today's news. It's too uncomfortable. Wait a couple of days. It'll be old news by then, and hopefully you can smile as opposed to cry. So my point is nature, nurture, and wholeness are powerful guides to being safe and effective. And I am an advocate for safe and effective, not for magic and hysteria. Because if you really look at these ads are saying, you're not okay unless you take our magic bullet, magic formula. It's been 100 years that we've had the term magic bullets. It goes back to Ehrlich in the early part of the 19th century. And it's been wrong. But it was adopted by the biopharma industry. It was adopted by the majority, the AMA and the AOA medical societies. So it was incorporated into the training and the thinking of most conventional physicians today. I meet many young physicians and many physicians who want to do what I do, but they start by saying to me, we didn't get any, as in any, of this in med school. I had 8,000 hours of postgraduate training, and I had 8 hours in nutrition, which were window dressing. So I have been fortunate to find the people who had wisdom and knowledge and hang out with them. So I had 7 years in TCM, Chinese medicine and acupuncture with Qing Nuan Wu. I had 5 years in Ayurveda and yoga with Dr. Ramamurti Mishra. And as I mentioned, I had 30 years with a Cambodian Buddhist monk named Bhante Dharmawara, about whom we have recently released a book, because my experience is an individual experience. But if you read the story, you too can identify in the same way. So he didn't come in and give me ex cathedra advice. He just moved in. That's part of the story, but he did move in. And slowly, gently, caringly, compassionately, he reformed my life. And so I am paying forward to those who mentored me today.
and I mean, I know your story a little bit. We spoke before this, and it is a phenomenal story and a very, very well-rounded story. Going from med school, working with the NIH, going to learn from so many different traditional medicines and traditional groups and forming them all together. My question earlier about premium supplements, why do most of them fail while Perque Integrative Health's supplements, yours, survive the human body?
Thanks for asking, because Perque Integrative Health, Perque supplements represent a new generation. We had to revise the way formulas are produced. We need none of the following that are in almost all, including professional supplements. There are binders, fillers, excipients, flowing agents, other forms that interfere with bioavailability. Given my background, I decided that this was a critical area. Quality of supplements, the functional nature. What's on the label is of interest, and hopefully the label is accurate. That's a problem in its own right. And we wanted 100% bioavailable nutrients. We wanted to eliminate all of those things that interfere and include nutrients in the form that nature makes them. Most supplements today have synthetic forms of B complex. They have sorta antioxidants, but are not nature's antioxidants. And many of them have low uptake, low bioavailability. So you swallow them and they go through your intestine, but they don't really get into you to do any good. And bioavailability is one of our primary objectives, to show that it is possible to deliver all of the active nutrients in nature's form by combining them the way food is produced. You know that food doesn't have any binders, fillers, excipients, and flowing agents, doesn't need it. So I studied agriculture with Jim Duke. The Department of Agriculture had one guy out of many tens of thousands who was in charge of everything organic or biodynamic. And he, of course, and I became friends. So I learned from many sources. And then, given my background, I felt it was possible to produce a new generation of more active, more bioavailable, safer, and more effective nutrients, and then study them, because I'm a scientist. We did a double-blind, placebo-controlled trial of our Lifeguard mini supplements. Lifeguard is a formula that includes 40 active nutrients and is a comprehensive new generation of multivitamins. With my colleague at the military medical school, we not only did a double-blind, placebo-controlled trial to show 100% uptake of our Perque Lifeguard product and 20% for the control placebo, which was, in essence, other people's supplement. More interestingly, after the study, the participants in the study, who were mostly medical students, went to Dr. Doister and said to her, "We want to continue taking this." And she said, "Well, the study is over," and the study is over. They said, "No, no, no. Tell us where we can buy this." When students are willing to spend money on a supplement, it must be good.
Absolutely. And if you had to pitch integrative medicine to the students, the 25-year-olds who only know biotech, how would you shock them into awareness?
Good question. I don't want to shock them, but I want to wake them up. I think most of us have short attention spans, and we tend to just do what we've done before. Let me give you an example. Tea. You might have tea as loose leaf tea, or you might have tea in a tea bag. If you have tea from a tea bag, you get hundreds of thousands of microplastic particles from the tea bag. I could go, if I could flip the camera, I would show you the 4 teas that we recommend, all leaf tea. There's white needle tea, there's pu'er, which is a lovely oriental tea. We have rose petal tea, which I enjoy a lot in the morning. And there's the 4th one. This is an herbal blend that's quite aromatic. It turns out that what you smell influences your brain. And if you smell nice things like lavender and rosemary and sage and so forth, that boosts your brain recovery. Isn't that interesting? So, yes, I have picked up a number of what I would call clinical pearls or useful phrases or ideas, and I've tried to integrate them. So what is Perque Integrative Health? What is integrative health? Integrative health says, how can I promote your well-being more even than treat your disease? The symptoms of disease, the expressions of disease will mostly go away when you address the causes. So the integrative, comprehensive, holistic approach is to look at the causes of the problem more than the consequences. And when you address the nutrient needs, the physical needs, the emotional needs, which is possible for each individual, by listening to them. One thing that I consistently get is that when I spend time with an individual to help them put together an integrative program, they often say to me, "You're really listening to me." Yes, I'm really interested in you for the moment that we have together. And then they often say, "Well, I can do this." 2 parts: wake up and then be guided by someone who has experience in what you need. If you're dealing with chronic infections, that means your immune defense and repair system isn't working. If you're dealing with most emotional issues, that means your hormones are out of whack or your neurochemicals need to be rehabilitated. It is possible, and it is a choice. I choose to live a little bit more alive, a little bit more vital. I actually, at the end of each day or the beginning of the day, I spend a minute or so just assessing, what have I done better? And I congratulate myself. And what have I slipped on? Because guess what? I'm not perfect. I don't think you need to be perfect. I think perfection is like an asymptote that you never really get to, but you can improve daily, every day. You can have the satisfaction of knowing you did your best and you can do better tomorrow. That to me is
Absolutely.
the integrative.
Absolutely. You can always do better. And we need to take steps of baby steps, is what I like
Yes,
to say.
baby steps are fine. Baby steps are fine for babies, but it's very important. This is an aside, but this is very important. If you put a child in a cart or a child in a carriage and the child never gets to crawl around and walk around, that child will be impaired for life. Yes, every 7 years, Rudolf Steiner says we go through a different phase and we have opportunities to improve ourselves if we are guided properly by someone who has both knowledge and wisdom. You need a certain amount of knowledge, but you also need to balance that with wisdom approaches for individuals. Very often I see a study and there's a statistical report, because statistics is very important. I used to teach statistics at NIH, but that does not apply to individuals. And applying to individuals means integrating your analysis, your thought, and ask what is upstream. What can we do to improve what you eat, drink, think, and do to reduce the harm and improve the quality? And you can feel the difference in as short as a week or two if you put me to the test.
With all the wisdom and experience that you have had and the knowledge from yourself, your experience, and everyone that you have had the opportunity to spend time with and learn from, what's the best advice you've ever received?
That's a kind of trick question, because can I distill my life into a meme or into a phrase? But let me try. I would say that one of the most important things that contributes to the quality of my existence is knowing that I make a difference. I think too many people feel that it's all over but the shouting, that they are just in survival mode, that they're just getting by day. The classic phrase is a life of quiet desperation. And I don't want that for me or those I care for, my team, my family. The people that work at Perque Integrative Health do a tremendous job and allow me to think and hopefully inspire them. So what I have noticed is that we need to wake up and take action. If you feel impotent, if you feel unable to take action and you feel trapped in your life, you are, but that's a choice. Forgive me, but that's a choice. And I want to choose life. In Hebrew, we say l'chaim. In French, you say enchanté. It turns out that embedded in the basic of healthy living are certain phrases that you can live by. And I want people to try. I just want people to give it a little bit of a chance to improve the quality of their life by following things like Perque Integrative Health. You can look at the website, you can look at our books. We've tried to do it as many different ways as convenient. And I'm very glad to have this time, because most of the time people want to talk about polyphenolics and nature's ascorbate. They want to talk about magnesium and why magnesium needs choline citrate to triple the uptake. And on and on and on. And Perque is a very full line. And we are a supplement company, but we actually deliver quality of life through diet and hydration, through activity and through mindfulness, all wrapped around a suite of supplements. Because today, in the 20th, 21st century, everywhere you look, there's risk. But everywhere you look, you can reduce the risk and improve your outcomes. But it means changing some very basic habits. My kitchen, for example, we have wood, we have titanium, we have no plastic, we have glass, and that reduces by 80% the exposure that we have to not just plastic, microplastic, but glyphosate and PFAS and on and on and on. And I am a biochemist, so I enjoy getting into the weeds. But my point is that the choices you make about eating at home versus eating in a restaurant. Eating out is convenient, but eating out means too much sodium and salt, too much oil that I don't have edible oils in my kitchen. I don't need them. I cook with whole foods, and I cook al dente, which means the minimum amount of heat to get the maximum flavor and aroma. Much of what I eat is raw, whole fruit, whole vegetables. I mentioned that we have a permaculture 15-year-old biodynamic food forest. Right now, we're harvesting melons faster than we can eat them. And guess what? When you go out to the garden and get the food, it not only is better for you, it's less expensive, and it tastes better. Most tomatoes or strawberries travel 2,000 miles before they get to the store, which allows them to pick up all sorts of schmutz. So we use a baking soda wash and sometimes a second apple cider vinegar wash for all fruits and vegetables to remove surface toxins. I use apple cider vinegar, rice vinegar occasionally, but mostly apple cider vinegar, not acetic acid. Clear vinegar is just acetic acid. That's not a whole food. Apple cider vinegar it's been around for 50 years and it's still going strong. So we want to reward the things that make us better and healthier, and we want to avoid the things that reduce our quality of life.
Could not agree more. And for everyone out there, we definitely need to have another discussion, Dr. Russell. There's so much more we can talk about, but everyone out there that's looking to learn more to start living healthier lives, go look at Dr. Russell on LinkedIn, look at Perque Integrative Health. I will have all the description I'll have all the bios and description down below. So everyone go check that out. Dr. Russell, we have to do this again. It was a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much.
Mutually. Thank you very much.